This is part 157 of ASP.NET Tutorial. In this video, we'll discuss SiteMapPath control. This is continuation to part 156, so please watch part 156 from the ASP.NET Tutorial before proceeding with this video. SiteMapPath control displays navigation path. This navigation path is often called as breadcrumb. Let's understand using SiteMapPath control with an example. The first step is to drag and drop SiteMapPath control. We'll work with the same example that we worked with in the previous session of this video series. Let's include SiteMapPath control within the header section of our master page. So let's flip this to the source mode. Let's drag and drop SiteMapPath control. So that's our first step. The second step is to add web.sitemap file. So let's flip to Visual Studio. Let's right click on the project name, add a new item, and we want to add sitemap file. And look at this, sitemap file has got an extension of .sitemap. These sitemap files are actually XML files, and notice that this XML file has got single sitemap element, and directly underneath the sitemap element we have one sitemap node element, and underneath that sitemap node element we have a couple of other sitemap node elements. And notice that each sitemap node element has got three attributes: URL, title, and description. Obviously title is something that we see within the SiteMapPath control, and we can click on that as well. Once we click on that link, obviously we will be redirected to a specific page, and that page is specified using this URL attribute. If you recollect from the previous session, the hierarchy of our site looks something like this. At the root level, we are going to have these four levels: home, employee, employer, and admin. And under employee, we have got three more levels. Under employer, 3 levels, and under admin, 3 levels. Basically, to support this hierarchy, let's implement web.sitemap file. To speed things up, I have already implemented the required XML, so let's copy and paste that within the sitemap file. So basically, again, this XML is straightforward. We have got single sitemap element, and within that there is one sitemap node element. And look at the title. This is actually dummy root. In a bit you'll understand why we are using this dummy root here. And then under that dummy root we have home, employee, employer, and admin. And under employee sitemap node we have 3 more sitemap nodes. Along the same lines, under employer 3 more, and under admin 3 more. Alright, with these 2 changes, let's run the application and see how our SiteMapPath control is working. Look at that, we are now going to home page. Look at this, the SiteMapPath control has detected that we are on the home page, and it has displayed home here. Now you may be wondering, what is this dummy root? If you recollect, the dummy root is actually the sitemap node element that is present in web.sitemap file. Look at that, that's the root node. Now obviously our hierarchy starts at this level: home, employee, employer, and admin. There's no reason why we want to display this dummy root. So to get rid of this, the first thought that comes to our mind is, let's get rid of that sitemap node root element, and let's see what's going to happen if we comment that. Okay, so let's save the changes. Let's run this application one more time and see what's going to happen. Look at that, exactly one sitemap node element is required directly inside the sitemap element. So directly within the sitemap element you can have only one sitemap node element. But if you look at our XML here, we have home sitemap node element, employee sitemap node element, employer, and admin. We have 4 sitemap node elements, and that's what the error message says. You cannot have more than one sitemap node element directly underneath sitemap element. So we can't get rid of this one. But our application requirement is basically to hide the dummy root that we see here. Okay, so basically to achieve that, what we can do is we can make use of item created event of the sitemap path control. So let's flip this to the design mode. let's get to the properties of the sitemap path control. Click on the events icon, and here we have item created event. Let's double click on that. So here we have the event handler. So what we are going to do here is dynamically hide. So we need to hide this root node here, as well as the path separator. The path separator here is greater than symbol, basically this angular bracket. So we need to hide both of these. And to do that, I'm going to check. Look at this, into this event handler method, we are receiving this object, sitemap node item event arguments object. So this object is going to identify what type of item it is. So e.item.item type, if that item type is root type, or e.item.item type if it is path separator, and if e.item.item index equals 1, then e.item.visible equals false. So basically here we are dynamically hiding the root node and the first item separator, the path separator. Okay, so you may be wondering, why are we checking the item index here? Because look at that, if the item type is path separator, and if that item index is 1, then we know it is the first path separator, and we want to hide that. Alright, with this change, let's go ahead and run this. Let's actually include these two in another bracket. So basically, if either this condition is true or this condition is true, then hide that item. It's as simple as that. So let's go ahead and run this and see if we get the output that we expect. Look at that. Now we only see home. Now let's actually navigate to employee and upload resume. Look at that, upload resume and then employee. And notice that employee item is displayed as a link. And once I click on that, I will be directed to employee page, employee.aspx. Alright, now there are several properties of this sitemap path control that we can either configure declaratively at design time or programmatically at runtime. Let's look at some of the interesting properties of the sitemap path control. So at the moment we are on the events icon, so let's click on properties icon. So look at this. Basically we have root node, parent node and current node. The names are self-explanatory here. Now if you want to configure the styles for the current node, look at that, you have current node style, and there are several properties. So for example, back color, if I want that to, let's say, something like blue, look at that, current node background color is set to blue. Let's actually set some yellow color there. Look at that. You can clearly see that during the design time. And there are several other properties which I'm sure you can play around with. Similarly, if you want to basically configure the style for root node, there should be something called root node style. Again, there are several of them. Let's say I want maybe a green background color for root node. Look at that, that's what we get there. And look at this, path separator. By default, the path separator is angular bracket here. Now instead of angular bracket, if you want maybe a pipe symbol, you can include that as well. So look at that, we get a pipe symbol as the path separator. And look at another interesting property here, path direction. Now the path direction is from root node to the current node. But if you want that in the reverse, that is from current node to root node, you can change path direction from current to root node. And again, look at this property, parent levels displayed. By default it's -1, meaning it's going to display all the levels, but you can configure how many parent levels you want to be displayed. For example, if we set that to 0, then only current node will be displayed. On the other hand, if you set it to maybe 1, then only one parent level will be displayed. Let's set it to default, which is -1. So basically there are several properties here that you can play around. Alright, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.